That's the one.
He's up on the floor.
Deputies take a bow when they, they did a great job of getting us all out of here Wednesday when the lights went out. Getting us down the steps, they did a really great job. Orderly,
Tell them to take a bow.
yeah, they did a fine job.
Are you going to film that?
Sure.
I need you to stand like in the area of the court reporter and take a bow for the camera.
Thank you for getting us out in orderly fashion.
There you go.
That was nice.
Are you ready now?
Yes.
Okay, let's have Mr. Bashara. We also need to open up.
All right. Third Circuit Court for the 36th District Court for the County of Wayne is now in session with the Honorable Kenneth King presiding. You may be seated and remain quiet.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Calling case 1357921, People of the State of Michigan versus Robert Michael Bashara, defendants charged with count 1, conspiracy to commit homicide, murder first degree premeditated, count 2, solicitation of a homicide, solicitation of murder, count 3, homicide, murder first degree premeditated, count 4, obstruction of justice, count 5, witnesses bribing, intimidating, interfering, criminal case punishable by more than 10 years, count 6, perjury, subordination other than court procedure. Appearance for the record, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Lisa Lindsay on behalf of the people of the state of Michigan.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please the court. Robert Moran, Assistant Prosecutor.
Mark Billing on behalf of the people.
Mark Bracito on behalf of Mr. Schuman.
With Renee Cooper. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, are we ready to proceed?
People are ready, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
Mr. Bradford.
Go to my partner.
Mr. Bradford. Sir, please give your name and the spelling of your name to the gentleman seated right in front.
Right there.
Right here, sir.
Daryl Bradford.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
Darryl.
May I inquire the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you. Sir, would you tell me your name, please?
Daryl Bradford,
Mr. Bradford, how old are you for the record?
53.
I'm sorry?
53.
And you're dressed in scrub, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you currently detained at the Wayne County Jail?
Yes, sir.
Okay, for what reason?
Material witness.
I'm sorry?
Material witness.
Okay. Sir, I'm going to ask you, do you know an individual by the name of Paul Monroe?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you known Mr. Monroe?
About 45 years.
45 years, so almost your whole life.
Yes, sir.
And from time to time, do you hang out with Mr. Monroe?
Yes, sir.
Do things together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions about what Mr. Monroe asked you to do after the death of Jane Bashara, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. You were aware of the death of Jane Bashara, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you know Ms. Bashara before she died?
No, ma'am. No, sir.
Did you ever meet her in life?
No, sir.
Okay. So you heard about it like we all did on television, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, sometime after Jane Bashara was murdered, did Paul Monroe come to you and ask you to do a favor for him?
Yes, sir.
And what was the nature of the favor he asked?
He wanted me to call in and give a report that his girlfriend or boyfriend had something to do with the murder of James Bashara.
And did you know the name of the girlfriend and boyfriend?
I knew the girlfriend, April Monroe.
Okay. And had you known April Monroe before that day?
Yes, sir.
Was, in fact, April Monroe the former or current girlfriend of April Montgomery, the current girlfriend of Paul Monroe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know how long they've been boyfriend, girlfriend?
10, 15 years at most.
Okay. And so after the murder, Paul Monroe comes to you, asks you to do a favor by calling in a tip saying April Monroe and her new boyfriend had something to do with Jane Bashara's death.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you ask him why that?
I guess they had a relationship going on and Paul was jealous.
Okay. But why in the world, did you ask him why in the world would he want you to call?
Objection, leading.
Okay. Did
Abstain.
you ask him why?
Sir?
Did you ask him why?
No.
Okay. And what did you tell him?
That's okay.
Okay. And did you do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you place a phone call?
Yes, sir.
And whose phone did you use?
Paul's.
Okay. Was it a cell phone or a landline?
Telephone.
A cell phone.
Yes, sir.
And was that a phone he had with him?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so he gave you a phone, yes?
Yes, sir.
He asked you to make the call,
Yes, sir.
and did you make the call?
Yes, sir.
And who did you call, do you know?
No.
Okay. When you called, what did you say?
I told him I had information that April Montgomery and Robert Williams, his name, I'm sure, had something to do with the murder.
Okay. The murder of Jane Bashara.
Yes, sir.
And you did that because Paul Monroe asked you to do that.
Yes, sir.
Did you get anything for doing that?
Yes, sir.
What did you get?
$20.
And who gave you $20?
Paul.
And did Paul tell you who gave him the money to ask you to do this tip?
No, sir.
He did not ask.
No, sir.
That's all I have.
Pastor Dan.
No questions.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. This witness is on the witness retainer.
You're actually asking to be released.
All right, we will release him from the witness retainer. Be careful.
Thank you.
Please give your name and your spelling for the gentleman seated there.
My name is Benita Porter, V-E-N-I-T-A, Porter, P-O-R-T-E-R.
Please raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat right behind you. Pull the microphone, please.
Ma'am, would you pull that microphone right up to your face, please? And that amplifies your voice, so I'd like you to speak right into it directly, okay?
Yes, sir.
May I inquire the witness, Your Honor?
Yes,
Thank you. Tell me your name, please.
Benita Porter.
Ms. Porter, can you pull the microphone a little bit closer to you so that we can hear you?
Is that better?
That's better. Just for the record, ma'am, what is your age today?
50.
Okay. Do you know an individual by the name of Robert Bashara?
Yes.
And do you see Mr. Bashara in court today?
Yes.
Where is he?
He's sitting in front of me in the green shirt.
May the record reflect the witnesses pointed to identify the person of the defendant, Mr. Robert Bashara.
so noted.
Ms. Porter, how is it you know Mr. Bashara?
I met Bob several years ago. He was looking for someone to see as a submissive. I needed food and shoes for my children, and we met in Southgate at a Red Robin.
And after meeting Mr. Bashara some years ago, did you develop a sexual relationship with him?
Yes.
Okay. And about how long did that relationship last, ma'am?
Just shy of 3 years.
Okay. And during that time that you had a relationship with Mr. Bashara, did you know his marital status?
Yes.
And what was it?
He was married to a woman by the name of Jane Bashara. I was told that he was married.
So wait, who told you that he was married?
He did.
Okay. And did he talk about his marriage?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He said that he had been a good man and a good father for years, and that he and Jane were not getting along. They did not want the same future, and that although he was not free to do what he wanted completely in the open, that they had an arrangement that they were planning a divorce when the kids were out of school. Then she was agreeable to that in the future. They weren't happy, but they were working their way to keeping the kids taken care of.
Now, during the course of this relationship you have with Mr. Bashara, did you attend social events with him?
Yes, I went to church with Jane and Bob every Sunday. I went to Rotary with Bob. I went to community projects. I went to the movies with him and his mother. I went to dinner with Rob when he was home from college and Bob at Dillon's. I went to volleyball games at Grosse Pointe South to see Jessica play. I attended and helped his birthday party with Jane and Jessica. That was a Rotary birthday party for him. I was involved, I felt, in quite a bit of his life.
Now, during this time that you had the relationship, did you ever go to the area known as the dungeon?
I lived there.
You lived in the dungeon?
I painted it.
Okay. Were you part of the...
I moved the bed on the top of my car.
Okay, so you helped Mr. Bashara set the dungeon up?
Yes, when I met Bob, when I first met him, we met upstairs at the Hard Luck. It had not opened. It was being remodeled to open back up. And he had the basement underneath Dillon's, and the Hard Luck was divided into 2 basements. Hard Luck had 1 basement. The second door was entrance into Bob's basement. He at that point had a wall put in. It was divided into 2. So when you came into the basement, first you saw a storage area. You then went through a second door, and it was a large open. I put a bed and a TV in there. It was where I was staying.
So there was a bed, a television. Were there other devices in the dungeon as well?
There were some S&M toys and things in there. His interest in S&M was great. His product was pretty small at the time, so it was limited as far as that. But I kept everything that he had kind of in cupboards and put away. But yes, there was a chair, a bed. He attempted to make some kind of ridiculous cross type thing on the wall that was built incorrectly for its usage. There were some toys.
Did you ever engage in S&M play or sex with Mr. Bashara in the dungeon?
Yes.
Now, during that time that you were in the dungeon, or any time when you're engaged in that type of activity with the defendant, did he ever engage in what's called breath play?
We did have a couple episodes where that did happen.
Tell me about that.
Generally, when I would get together with Bob, our situation, it would be more like a scene that we'd go into, and it would generally be a little spanking, and then with his inability and his impotence, a little head. There were a few occasions where he got a little crazier, and when we were playing, he choked me. I have a kind of bony neck, and I would get very dizzy and unconscious. I didn't particularly like it. And I would mention being uncomfortable. He would back off. That wouldn't happen for months until I'd be a little more comfortable. And then, surprise, surprise, it might happen again. It was not something we talked about. It was not something I asked for.
Did he ever do the breath play to the point where he choked you unconscious?
On your way out, where you were in that. For me, wasn't completely out, I don't think for a length of time. I was on that very fine line between being out and being conscious.
Now, during your relationship with Mr. Bashara, you said you had social, you would engage in social behavior, go to social functions with him, correct?
Yes,
You said you met his mother, his children, his wife, correct?
yes.
Did you meet some of his friends?
I met a few friends. I met friends through Rotary, obviously. He did have a gentleman I thought was one of his good friends by the name of Jim.
Was that Jim Wilson?
I've been told that was his name. I am not aware of that.
So when you met him, you knew him as Jim, is that right?
I knew him as Jim.
Okay, was Jim a friend of Mr. Bashara's?
My understanding is, that he had been a friend of Mr. Bashara's. I know at one point we went to his house. I don't know where it was. It was a wealthier, nicer house in the neighborhood. He was some kind of real estate contractor, I think, type guy. And I thought they had been golf club Lockmore buddies, but I could be mistaken on that.
But there were times that you would see Mr. Bashara and this Jim person in company together.
Yes, we got together a few times. He invited Jim to go down to the Leland to a party that we attended. We met him at the Hard Luck and at Dillon's. They seemed to like to drink. Jim seemed to have access to cocaine.
Did you ever know Mr. Bashara to engage in cocaine?
The only time I ever saw Bob around cocaine was when Jim was around. And it was offered. I believe I saw him do it. I know Jim did. I may have gone to the restroom while they were doing those things and came back and saw residue.
Did you ever talk to Mr. Bashara about that?
If I did, I would have said that I had seen cocaine use years ago and was not interested.
Objection.
Speculation.
Exactly.
Sustained.
As you sit there today, ma'am, do you have an independent memory of talking to Mr. Bashara about his cocaine use?
I would have said to him after seeing...
Same objection, Your Honor.
That's okay.
Sustained.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Previously, ma'am, you recall testifying under oath on or about November 20th, 2012.
Yes.
I'd like you to refer to page 26 of your testimony, lines 15 and 16.
Yes, thank you.
Did you get a chance to review that?
Yes.
Does that refresh your memory about a conversation you may have had with Mr. Bashara about cocaine?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Do you recall now ever having a conversation with the defendant about his cocaine use?
Yes.
And tell me about that.
I mentioned to Bob how I felt about cocaine. I wasn't interested in it. The only time I saw him do it was with Jim, and he asked me if I was interested. I said no, and they did.
Okay, fair enough. Now, at some point in time, did your relationship come to an end?
Yes.
How did it end?
I had asked Bob for a night of fun. I needed a break. I wanted to go to dinner. I wanted to go dancing. I wanted to be just relaxed as a woman. And we were to meet over at Dillon's. I had gone in and had a drink. I did not see him there. I tried calling him. He said he was over at the Hard Luck, that he had a few friends that he wanted to show the broom to, and then we would be off on our evening. And I finished the drink I was having. I went next door to Hard Luck. There was no one there. They told me he had gone downstairs.
Hearsay.
Based on, don't tell us what they said, but based on information you got at the house, did you go somewhere?
I talked to Bob. He told me that he actually was downstairs.
Okay, did you call him on the phone?
Yes.
Okay. And he said I'm downstairs, what did he say? Come down?
He told me to come down.
Okay, and that'd be the dungeon area, right?
That would be the dungeon area.
Did you go down there?
I did.
What happened?
I found him with Rachel.
Rachel Gillette?
Rachel Gillette.
Now, had you ever seen Rachel Gillette before that day?
No, I had not.
Okay. And when you say found with, were they engaged in some type of act?
There was going to be sex.
Okay. And what did you do at that point?
I went ham. I went absolutely crazy.
Okay.
It was not something I was going to tolerate. It was not something I put up for. I was set up for a different kind of an evening. I could not believe he was doing this to me. I could just keep looking at him, and the phrase was, you and me against the world. This was not you and me against the world. And they blew me off, and they went into the room and they closed the door. And I didn't leave because I was upset. I stayed in the outside room for a couple hours until they were done. And then I went crazy on him again.
What happened after that?
He stood over me with a look on his face. I don't think I would have recognized him if I didn't know him. I've never in my life begged anybody. I humiliated myself by begging him not to do this to me. While he and Rachel stood there with his arms crossed like this. He kicked me out. He stole my key while he was helping me unlock. He stole things I had and wanted back as I was cleaning out everything I owned in anger. I told him I couldn't see. I told him I felt I was having some kind of heart attack. Could I please at least stay the night? I had nowhere to go. And he kicked me out. And Rachel reached over and she put her hand on his arm and she told him not to be so mean to me. And they kicked me out at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And that was the end of the relationship you have with Mr. Bashara?
That was, yes. Oh, yeah.
Now, fast forwarding to 2012, around the time his wife was killed, were you still not having any contact with him?
The only contact I had had with Bob, we'd had a couple contacts in the next months there, ending some business. He had owed me some money. We'd had some conversations about whatever. I may have, at that point, I think there was an IM every couple months to kind of know what he was up to. I didn't trust him and I wanted to know what he was up to.
Okay, fair enough.
But no, we had no contact until I got an email from the church that Jane had died and I sent him an IM of regret.
So you contacted him after you learned that Jane had died?
Yes, I had gone to St. Michael's Episcopal Church with Jane and Bob, and I was on the prayer list, I was on the mailing list, and so they had sent out a email informing of her death. I did not know how or why, and my heart went out to Bob and the children, and I sent I'm so very sorry.
And did he respond to that?
I did hear from him, and I am back saying that he appreciated or something along those lines. It was nondescript, and we didn't have a whole lot of contact, but a little contact.
After that initial contact, was there more contact later, after Jane's death?
Oddly enough, I saw more of Bob after Jane's death than I had seen of him in the previous 3-4 years.
Okay. At some point in time, did he show up at your house?
Yes.
And was that about March of 2012?
I would have to refer to notes, but around in there. My youngest son was home. I was home. I heard my mailbox. I looked up and in through my front door because the door was unlocked. He walked in with my mail and a big smile.
And who walked in?
Bob Bashara.
Did not just walk in the door?
Walked in the door, said hi.
And what did you do?
I know it sounds crazy, but I've been to the Bob. And I don't want to make Bob mad, and I don't want to set Bob off. I acted normal. I said hi. I gave him a condolence hug. He told me things had been rough since Jane's death. I tried to just smile and get it done and get him out.
What? You said
Then I called the prosecutors right away.
Okay. Why did you say you were afraid to upset Bob? Or make him angry?
When you spend a couple years with somebody and they look you in the eye, and the comments are, you and me against the world, it's only you, and all the flowery words that he has to say. And then you see somebody who doesn't even know you, doesn't like you, wishes you gone. They are fearful. And then he made comments to me he said he knew people.
Okay.
He threatened me and my children. Not in a, I'm going to kill you threat, but I know people, cause trouble for me.
How did you take that to mean, I know people?
I took that to mean that I better protect myself and my children.
So there he is in your house, it's March, less than 2 months after his wife has been murdered, and do you have a conversation with him?
I'm sorry, I'm getting nervous, and so...
That's fine.
But in essence, we discussed, what had happened. I said I was so very sorry that it had happened. How was he doing? I don't...
Okay.
I'd have to refresh my memory.
That's fine. At some point during that conversation, did you talk about Rachel?
He had mentioned Rachel, that she apparently wasn't standing by his side or cooperating, that she had perhaps turned on him. We had more of a conversation about Rachel later in the year.
Okay. At that time, when he was standing in your house in March, did he ask you to go somewhere with him? To wine tasting?
He did. He asked me to go to a Rotary wine tasting. I couldn't understand what he was doing there after all this time. One of the things that we argued about a lot is I don't
Objection,
like...
Your Honor, this is non-responsive.
I'll rephrase. So he asked you in March if you were interested in going to a Rotary Club wine tasting event. Is that right?
Yes.
As a date?
Well, as a Rotarian and as a date, yes. Meet him there. People wouldn't know.
Okay. That's less than 2 months after his wife was murdered?
Yes.
Okay. So, did you go?
No.
Okay. You told him no?
No. Yes, I told him no.
Okay. Now, during this time period, did you have discussions about Mr. Bashara and where he was the night his wife went missing?
Bob seemed to want me to understand and know what happened. He seemed desperate.
That's non-responsive to the question and it's speculation. As soon as you start saying Bob seemed to...
Yes.
There was a very
My answer is
specific
yes.
question.
Okay. So you did have a conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Bashara tell you where he claimed to be when his wife...
Yes, he did.
Okay. What did he tell you?
Bob told me that he had been at the Hard Luck, the bar next to Dillon's and above the dungeon, that he had been having drinks at the time that this had happened.
Did he mention something to you about cleaning up?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
He told me that he had been having a drink, that he had gone back to the back alley to pick up some trash, of which I thought was really funny. I've never seen him pick up a damn thing in the time I knew him.
Now, why would you think that was odd that he would be cleaning up garbage behind your property?
Because Bob doesn't pick up anything. Bob gets people to do things for him.
Objection, Your Honor. Unless she knows this of her own personal knowledge.
But she...
I'm telling you I do.
I thought that's what she was testifying to. Overruled. Make it see.
Based on your experience when the years you're with Mr. Bashara, you never saw him clean up garbage?
No.
Never saw him clean anything?
No, he would hire a tenant or somebody or, get somebody to do something.
So on the night, when he tells you on the night his wife went missing, he was spending hours behind the bar cleaning up, that strikes you as odd?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at some point, did his story change about where he was and where he went that night?
Yes.
Tell me how it changed.
I believe that at some point it changed to the fact that he needed to go back to the house. He had left for 5 or 10 minutes to get some keys at the house and had come back.
Okay, so the first story was he was at the Hard Luck cleaning, right?
Yes.
And the second story was, oh, I forgot, I had to leave for 5, 10 minutes to go back to the house to get something.
Yes, I believe that was it.
Okay. Now, let's fast forward to June of last year. Around the 25th, I believe, sometime around then. Did you get a contact from Mr. Bashara about having lunch with him?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and were you, without telling us where you work, were you at work at the time?
When I talked to him, I wasn't at work. We met out at the place, and I do not work there anymore.
Okay. You met near a place that you worked at the time?
Yes.
And was there plans made to have lunch that day?
Yes, he had contacted me and asked if we could get together and have lunch and talk.
Now, why in the world would you have lunch with this man on that day?
What I had told the prosecutor's office all along was that I felt more comfortable just trying to keep things calm than to cause trouble. Causing trouble would draw more attention to myself. Causing trouble would cause me trouble. I was afraid. I did not want trouble. And it was easier to just go listen to what he had to say than to say no. And he seemed like he was getting agitated.
Let me stop there. So, it was easier for you just to go along and have lunch with the man? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So you agreed. What were the plans for lunch that day?
He came over to the parking lot of the Fairlane Club. We weren't able to find a place to sit there. We drove over to Hines Park. There was a picnic area. There was a large construction crew in front of it. I felt that at least somebody was around there. And we sat on a picnic bench and I let him have his say.
Okay. And did you have a conversation with him?
Yes.
And did you talk about things involving his life, like Rachel and the kids, things like that?
Yes, we did.
And what did he tell you about Rachel?
That he really did love her, and that she was being crazy and not standing next, that she had turned on him, that he couldn't reach her, that she was saying things, and that seemed to upset him.
Did he talk about his children at all at that meeting?
He did.
What did he say?
He talked about Jessica. I have given a card to the prosecutor's office. My understanding is that Lisa had taken and
Just for record, Ms. Lindsay?
yes,
I mean, did you understand that Ms. Lindsay had given a copy of that to a member of the family?
that she had talked to Jessica and showed it to Jessica, that Jessica did not want to talk about those issues, and that the kids were upset, that the kids, he said,
Let me stop there. Did he tell you that did he tell you the kids were upset?
yes.
Okay.
He told me Jessica was upset, that Rob was upset, that they did not wish to talk to him at the moment, but he felt that in about a year, Jessica would hopefully calm down.
Did he ask you, Ms. Porter, questions about what you may or may not have told the police?
Yes,
Did you want to know what you told the police?
I believe he did.
And did you tell him?
I told him what he knew I would say. I did not tell him everything you had asked.
Okay, fair enough. Now, after you had lunch, did you go for a little walk or a stroll with him?
Yes, we did.
Okay, is that in the park?
Yes, he wanted to walk around the perimeter of the little park.
And as you're walking with Mr. Bashara, did something unusual happen?
Yes,
Tell me about that.
he pulled me in the bushes where no one could see us.
When he pulled you in the bushes where no one can see you, what did he do to you?
He talked to me. He told me, when I said to him, "Why'd you do this to me? You turned me into a whore." He said that I wasn't a whore, that I was too beautiful a woman to not be having sex because I don't do that. It's not a part of my life anymore. And he grabbed me by the neck, lifted me by the chin up on my toes, and kissed me very, very thoroughly.
He grabbed you by the neck
Yes,
and physically lifted you up off the ground.
yes. He told me he didn't want to hear me say things like that. I was a beautiful woman, and kissed me.
Now, what did you do at that point?
I kept my hand on my box cutters in my pocket and hoped that I was going to live. He then asked me some questions and we talked. He asked me if I would come back to the house and stay with him.
Back to the house on Middlesex?
Yes.
Did he ask you to move in with him?
He asked me to show up that afternoon. He asked me to come stay with him. He said we didn't have much time. I needed to make a decision. I said, "Bob, that's crazy. The prosecutors know I've been telling the truth. They know I've been at the house. They know how I stayed at the house before. Have you lost your mind?" And he said that he needed to feel me and that we didn't have much time and for me to try and hurry.
Now, did you go move in with him?
No.
What happened after that lunch?
When we came out of the bushes, there were two gentlemen that I was hoping were detectives in the park. We walked past them quickly. We went to my car. I drove him back to his car. He hugged me, told me to hurry, and we didn't have much time. He got in his car and drove away and got arrested, apparently.
What's that, your line?
And I called the prosecution, as I did every time.
No questions.
Cross-examine.
We don't have any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Thank you.
Right this way, ma'am.
All right, man, with the excuse? Yes. Thank you. All right, next witness is being brought up right now. Can we have 5 minutes?
Court will be in recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, they are. They're not showing. Yeah. I want to check. I want to check the campaign. Really? I'm sorry? Yeah, I put them back by the machine. Oh, okay, they're right by the machine.
I can just put you on something, office.
I don't, yeah, that's fine. Just put them back there. Everyone should come home. Here you go. It's my gift to the board and staff. She gave it to me, and I did. No. I gotta work the football game tomorrow. Set up the soccer He's here now, just one more minute.
No, because I didn't bring shoes down here. And I gym shoes were upstairs, but I learned since the daughter is very flat.
We're ready, Judge.
Wayne undergrad, or Wayne State.
Good school. Let me grab Wednesday, too. getting warmer in here.
Back on the record on 1357921, People versus Robert Michael Bashara.
Thank you, Your Honor. People are ready.
Sir, please give your name and spelling to the court reporter.
Larry Ellington.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ellington, would you pull that microphone a little bit closer to you, sir? There you go. Can you have your name for the record, sir?
Larry Ellington,
Mr. Ellington, how old are you for the record?
55.
I'm sorry?
55.
Where are you currently living, Mr. Ellington?
Correctional facility
Okay, why are you in the correctional facility?
for robbery.
Okay. And you're serving a sentence for robbery in the state of Michigan correctional facility?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Don't tell me what facility you're at now, but the facility you were at before the one you're at now, where was that?
Oaks Correctional.
Oaks Correctional. That's up in Manistee?
Cascader or something like that, by Traverse City.
Up north by Traverse City?
Yes.
And how long were you at the Oaks Correctional Facility before being transferred?
Probably about maybe 8 weeks, 9 weeks.
Okay. And
Since
What?
I left quarantine.
okay, while you were at the Oaks Correctional Facility, did you share a cell with someone?
Yes, sir.
And did you see that person in court today?
Yes, sir.
Where is that person?
Mr. Bashara.
Mr. Bashara?
Yes.
May the record reflect the witnesses pointed to and identified the defendant, Mr. Robert Bashara.
So noted.
Was Mr. Bashara a cellmate of yours at Oaks Correctional Facility?
Yes, sir.
And how many people were in that cell?
Just me and him.
Just a two-person cell?
Yes, sir.
And how long did you and Mr. Bashara share the cell?
Maybe 6 weeks.
Okay. And during the time that you shared the cell with Mr. Bashara, did you engage in conversation with him?
Yes, sir.
And did he tell you why he was there, what was going on, things like that?
Yes, sir.
And did you share information with him about yourself?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, at some point in your relationship, your conversations, did he ask about you being a Moor or knowing any Moors?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
Said somebody mentioned to him something like that, that I was with the Muslims and get a lot of things did, you know.
What do you mean by that?
Like keeping people out of trouble. If somebody's messing with them, we'll keep them off you and stuff like that.
This is what he heard?
Well, yeah, that we got a lot of pull.
Okay. That the Moors or the Muslims have a lot of pull.
Yes.
And he asked you if you remember if you were a Moor or a Muslim.
Yes.
What'd you tell him?
So yes.
Okay. And did you ask him why you wanted to know?
I can't exactly remember exactly how it went, but it all came down to began the conversation where I was from, and that's Detroit, and we spoke about where. Said over like Chalmers and Jefferson area, Grand Mac, and we just got to kicking from there, talking, and then things started coming up.
Okay. What kind of things started coming up from Mr. Bashara?
Well, we got to the subject about Joseph Gantz, a fat guy named Steve at on Chalmers and Warren, a fat guy named Steve on Chalmers and Warren at the appliance store, and another fella named Timothy Ramsey that stay on 3 Mile Street.
Okay. Now, how did the subject come up about these three individuals? Steve, Ramsey, and Joseph Gantz.
Well, he wanted him hit.
I'm sorry?
He wanted him hit.
Who wanted them hit?
Bob.
Mr. Bashara.
Yes, sir.
When you say hit, what do you mean?
He wanted him killed.
Now, let's back up a little bit. He asks you if you're a Moor, asks you if you can get things done, and then you say he starts talking about putting a hit on 3 people?
First of all, it started off with Joseph Gantz.
All right, let's talk about Mr. Gens first. Okay?
Right.
What did he say about Mr. Gens?
He wanted to know if I can get next to someone that's already incarcerated.
And what'd you tell him?
I told him yes, properly.
And did you ask him why?
Yes.
What did he say?
Well, it had something to do with his case.
Okay. Did you ask him if he was involved or he killed his wife?
Well, one day we was playing, he showed me how to play bridge. I think that's what it was or something. And we was playing cards. And we was speaking, and I told him, I said, well, you killed your wife, you know. We were just speaking on it. Because he had cried the day before, and he said that his emotions is getting the best of him. But anyway, it come out that I told him, I said, like, you killed your wife, Bob. He said, no, I didn't kill her. I said, you had her killed. And he said something to the extent about, that's why I need to get rid of that fucker, and something about, can you believe that they believe this retarded over me?
So Mr. Gens as a retard.
Retard.
A retard. And he said, I can't believe they're going to believe a retard over me.
Yeah.
Those are the words that Mr. Bashara used?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, he told you that that's why he needed him killed?
Yes. But he never denied it, having his wife killed, and he never said he had her killed.
He never admitted to you that he killed his wife.
Right.
He never admitted to you directly that he had her killed, right?
Right.
He said that's why he needs Joseph Gens killed, right?
He need him out the way. That's why I need that fucker gone, or something to that extent, like that.
And when he told you that he needed him out of the way, needed him gone, what did you say to him?
I told him, I said, you had your wife killed.
What did he say?
He didn't deny it, but he didn't.
He didn't say, no, I didn't. I had nothing to do with that? So you
No.
confronted him and said you had your wife killed, and he didn't deny it.
Well, by me looking at him and we talking, he didn't say that, but, when you get to kicking with a person for a while, you can see certain things. Like, me, myself, personally, it's just my observation, I told him, I said, you did it, man,
And when you said you did it, he did it.
He didn't say anything,
He didn't say no. He didn't say, no, I didn't. I loved it. No? Good answer, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So he indicated to you that he wanted to arrange to have Joseph Gens killed while he's in prison, right?
Right.
Okay. He also mentioned some other names, is that right?
Yeah, he said he really want that fat piece of shit Steve gone, something like that.
Okay. Did you know who he was talking about when he said Steve?
Yes.
How did you know that?
I stay in that neighborhood.
Okay, so you know who Steve is.
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Bashara talk about Steve?
Yes.
What did he say about Steve?
Well, he told me one thing. He said he carries a gun. I think he said it was a .38. And he said something about Steve that kept telling him about he can have Gantz killed or something like that. And one day he wore a wire. That's why he wanted him out the way.
So he wanted him killed because he wore a wire.
Yeah.
Did he ever mention the phrase that he ratted him out?
Yes.
Did he use those words?
Well, he said he told on me. He
Told.
set me up.
Set you up. Okay. Now, when he said he wanted to have Steve killed, what did you tell him?
I said, well, let's do it,
Okay. Now, were you playing along with this?
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't agree with it, like, I am human, I did a lot of things in my life, and it was just wrong. I got to live with that, man.
Okay, well, my question is, why were you playing along, pretending to help Mr. Bashara set up a hit on these three people?
Because I'm going to make sure this bullshit ends.
Okay. All right. Now, you said there was a third person. There was Joe Gens, because he was involved in the death of his wife, right?
Yes.
There's Steve from Steve Furniture, because he set him up, right?
Right.
Who was the third guy?
His name was Timothy Ramsey. He stay on 3 Mile Street.
How do you know that?
That's what he told me. He wrote all the information down for me.
Mr. Bashara told you that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, why do you want Ramsey killed?
He didn't really go into a lot of details, but he did mention something about that Ramsey talks a lot.
Okay.
And he started a lot of mess at his compound or something. He used to manage or he used to work and do maintenance work for him or something like that.
So he told you that Ramsey had a loud mouth, had a problems with him, you wanted him killed, lives on 3 Mile.
Yeah, but you know, I think it went deeper than that because that's really wasn't no reason to have the one killed, you know, because he talk a lot.
So he didn't tell you,
He didn't give me no specifics.
Okay, he did not tell you the specifics. Okay, now, you said, a minute ago, you said that he wrote down the words, he lives on 3 Mile.
Yes.
Would he write things down for you, Mr. Ellington?
Yes, well, we talk on the yard, but in the room, he'll write down on a piece of paper and tear it up after we finish and flush it.
So wait, you said that sometimes you talk in the yard.
Yes.
When you're in your cell, do you talk?
Yes, but when it comes to the case, it was written and tore up and flush.
Tell me how that worked. Written, tore up, flush. What do you
He'll
mean? by that?
write down something like, I got to make sure that this got to be dead soon. And we would get the money situation straight and stuff like that. Then I answer him and he'd tear it up and flush it.
Now, when you said you talk, though, you would talk in the yard sometimes?
Yeah, well, the yard, that's when we verbally talk on the yard.
Okay. Why is it you wouldn't talk in the cell?
He thought it was bugged.
Who thought it was bugged?
Bob.
Mr. Bashara?
Yeah.
Okay. So he did not want to talk in the cell because he thought it was bugged,
Yes.
but he would talk to you about these events, trying to kill Joseph Gentz, Steve, and Ramsey
On
in
the
the yard.
yard, yes.
Okay. You know, at this time, I would move to admit people's exhibit by stipulation, I think, of 56, which is a video.
No objection.
Court will receive people proposed exhibit 66.
Mr. Ellington, look at the monitor there. I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to ask you to recognize anyone in the video. First of all, stop. Stop. No, stop the video, I'm sorry. Play. Stop. Now, can you tell me what this picture shows us?
It's not doing this one, so I have to look over here.
Okay.
It shows the yard at Oaks Correctional Facility.
Now, is that the facility that you were at with Mr. Bashara as your bunkmate?
Yes.
Okay. And this is the recreational area?
Yes, it's our yard.
That's your yard? Okay. Go ahead. Take a look at that, sir. Okay, now we'll play it one more time. Can you come all the way? Oh, keep going. Keep going. I'm sorry, you're not telling the whole thing to play. Stop.
That's me and Bob.
Stop. Okay, you say you recognize someone in the video?
Yes, me in the white T-shirt, Bob without a shirt.
Okay. May the record reflect the witness has identified himself and the defendant in People's Exhibit number 56 being played on the monitor. You said that's you in the white T-shirt?
Yes, sir.
And that's Mr. Bashara, the defendant, without a shirt.
Yes.
And the picture is you and he walking around the yard together. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you play it one more time? Keep going. Play it one more time. Is that you again?
Yes.
Okay. And again, you're walking with Mr. Bashara?
Yes.
Okay. Can you play it from the top? Stop. Stop. Can you make it a little bit further? Stop. No. Back it up. Back it up. Back it up. Stop. Now, do you see in the very far ground of the photograph beyond the basketball court, Mr. Ellington? May I approach, Ryan?
You have to show me exactly what
Okay.
he's speaking
All right.
of.
May I approach the monitor on? I'm going to direct your attention, Mr. Ellington, to this area right here.
Okay.
Do you see these two individuals behind the basketball court?
No, I just see me and Bob right there.
Is that you and Bob?
Yes.
You and the defendant?
Yes.
Okay, so this is you walking around the recreational area, right?
Right.
Now, if we continue to play it, we'll see you walk around, and in a few minutes you come down in front of the camera. Is that right?
Yes, by myself it looks like.
Hold on one second.
It's like I'm sitting over there waiting on Bob. And now we're walking together.
We're walking together again.
Right.
Mr. Ellington, I'm going to hand you, and that's you and Mr. Bashara in the photograph, right?
Yes, that was us.
Okay. So when you told us a moment ago that you and he would walk around the yard together and discuss these hits that he wanted to put on, is this an example of you walking with Mr.
Yes.
Bashara in the yard? Okay. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibit Number 10 by stipulation. Move to admit.
No objection.
Proceed.
Me and Bob.
Is that a still photograph of you and Mr. Bashara in the yard?
Yes.
At Oaks facility?
Yes.
Now, did he offer you anything in exchange for you trying to arrange these three people to be killed?
Yes.
What did he tell you he was going to give you?
Okay, we were speaking of, I was speaking on the cash money.
What'd you tell him?
He said that, I told him it was going to cost him. He said, how much? I said, maybe 5-10 grand. But he said his money was kind of tied up at the moment with a guy named, I think it's Rich, somebody that got the power of attorney of his money.
He told you that?
Right.
Okay. What else did he tell you about Rick
But-
or his money?
But he offered something about a house over here on Glipford or something, a two-family house over there, two-family flat house over there.
I want to back up just a minute, sir, since you brought up Mr. Rick, the power of attorney. Mr. Bashara, he mentioned to you that this Rick person was his power of attorney.
Yes.
Did he talk to you about how his money was tied up at the time?
Yes.
Did he talk about a house?
Yes.
Did he talk about his house that he was selling?
Yes. He
What did he
said,
tell you about
first he had some guy, I forgot his name, to sell his house for him. And he was messing around and things just didn't come out right on that there. But Rick ended up selling it for him. I think he said at maybe $350,000. It was less than what he should have got, but he did a good job by getting rid of it for him.
Did he tell you what happened to the proceeds from the sale?
Said something about he had to pay his mother 100 grand or something like that, or. And then another time he told me that he had to pay her, but it was a complete different price, much lower. I can't remember, maybe like 10 grand or something like that. I can't exactly remember the figure. But I know the first time I think he said like it was 100 or 120,000. Second time he said Rick paid her 10 grand for the lawyer. And I'm saying to myself, you done already told me one story, now you told me a different one.
Did he tell you anything else about what Rick was doing for the sell of the house, the proceeds, that sort of thing?
Well, he just said he was holding on to his money, but it's tied up and he had to go to court or something. 'Cause I called Rick for him one day.
Let me stop you there. He said he had to go to court over the money for his house?
Yes, I think the state was trying to. The state had his money tied up or something, because in prison he was only like able to get like $25 a month to spend, and I think the state was trying to take his money or something, and Rick went to court for him to find out what had happened, and he had me call Rick because he was on doing sanction for a ticket that he caught.
So he asked you to call Rick, the
Right.
power attorney.
And I called Rick, and Rick said that.
Did you, wait, stop you there. Did you talk to Mr.
Yes, I
Rick?
talked to Rick.
Okay. And did you talk, without telling me what Rick said, did you talk to Rick about the house?
No, not the house.
What was the subject matter of your conversation with Rick?
The subject matter was what happened at court.
Okay. And the court, was that related to the sale or the proceeds of the house?
No.
What was it about?
It was his money that was tied up, the state or something, I don't know.
That was the state trying to take the
Right.
money to pay for his incarceration?
Right.
Okay. And did you talk to Rick about that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get information from Rick about the court case involving the defendant's assets that were being taken by the
Yes.
state? Okay. And did you convey that information from Rick to the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. What happened after that?
Rick told me, he said they
Objection
postponed
is
it.
what Rick told him.
So tell us what Rick said. Okay. Did you tell what Rick told you to the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. Did the defendant give you any more instructions after you gave him that information? Asked you to do anything else?
Let me think.
That's okay.
Let me be sure here.
Take your time.
Okay, I told him.
You know, Mr. Austin, I'll move on. The subject of Rick came up. I want to ask you, did Rick put any money on your account?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, Bob told me that he would have, like, since I'm working with him, he's going to take, like, all I can get is $50 a month because I owe restitution. That he would have $50 every month put in my account, which Rick did
So
until
Rick-
I left,
I'm sorry?
until I rolled out.
Okay. So Rick put $50 on your account?
Yes.
And just for the record, the account is the money you have that you can spend while you're in
Yes.
prison. Phone calls, commissary?
Yes.
Okay. And that actually happened?
Yes.
And did you talk to Rick about that?
Yes.
Okay. And about how many conversations did you have with Rick?
I think I talked to Rick twice. Matter of fact,
that was on the
twice.
telephone or in person?
On the phone.
Okay. Now, you had told us that Mr. Bashara was in exchange for you arranging to have these people killed, that he was going to offer you some property. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell me about the property. What did he say?
He said he believed it was the mortgage on it, the mortgage value of it is like $31,000. He was speaking in terms that I didn't understand in real estate, but it was coming down to be that he can pay me off in the house, but the person that I have to do the hit for him would have to go to the bank and they had to make out some kind of thing, and he can go ahead and take over the notes. He said it'd been something like $600 a month, but you can rent out the other apartment for $600 and make your profit on that. And he said it was a really nice investment.
Did he tell you where the house was located?
Yes.
Where was the house located?
Over by Finney High School. I think it's Guilford, 32 something Guilford, or 2832 Guilford, or something like that. I'm not sure the address.
Now, when he told you the address, he told you the mortgage balance?
Yes, and
Approximately, right?
I told him my aunt does real estate, and he told me I can have her get an appraisal on it.
And did you have a conversation with the defendant about having the house appraised, having your aunt go there?
Yes.
And to do that, did he give you Rick's number to give to someone?
To her,
To who?
my aunt.
Because your aunt's a real estate agent.
Yes. Matter of
Is her
fact,
last
yeah.
name Boykin?
Boykin, Maddie Boykin. She's a real estate agent, for real.
Did you contact your aunt and have her?
No,
No.
I have her nowhere near this here.
Now, did you, in addition to talking about having your aunt appraise it and giving you the phone number to call Rick, did he write this on a piece of paper?
Yes,
Did he give it to you?
yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? I think by stipulation, we're going to move to admit People's Exhibit 123.
No objection.
Proceed.
Mr. Officer, I'm going to hand you this. Take a look at that. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes.
What is it?
That's the paper he gave me for the house on Guilford and the mortgage balance thing that he was talking about. And to go by and have it appraised, call Rick. You had to meet him there. Okay, that's right.
And you kept this paper?
Yes,
You gave it to the police?
yes,
And it has Rick's phone number right there on the bottom, right?
yes.
Now, at some point, did you ever tell Mr. Bashara not to tell anybody else about this plan?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I told him can't nobody else know about this here because people talk, but he told I guess he had another guy over in the
I
level.
don't object if he's guessing.
Well, don't guess.
Well, I'm
Tell me-
telling you, what
Hold
he
on.
told me,
What did he tell you?
we had a guy,
We have he identified? I don't
I'll
know.
rephrase the question. What did the defendant tell you, Mr. Ellington?
he told me told a guy in level 2 when he was over there the same thing, but that's before he went down and got arraigned. And they brought him back and put him in level 4 because we had a guy that worked maintenance over there come to our house, and he said, I forgot the guy's name, but he said for $1,000 he said he would make it happen. So I told Bob, I said, Bob, who else do you got involved with this right here? He denied at first that he did have anyone involved, but he came finally admit and said yes. He was speaking with a guy over in level 2 about the same thing.
And what did you tell him? When he told you he's talking to someone on level 2 about the same thing, what did you tell him, the defendant?
Told me he got too many people involved with this.
And why did you tell him that?
because it was bringing too much heat.
Okay. All right. And did he listen to you when you said that?
Yes.
Okay. As far as you know, right?
Yes, he said that he did what he had to do, something like that, because he was over there. But since they arraigned him for his wife's death, they moved him to a higher level. So I guess him and that guy can't correspond anymore because it's on a separate part of the facility. You know, they level 2 and we level 4. We at max, so we locked down all day. So he had to try to get it done while he was over in level 4.
So, in addition to asking you to make this arrangement, he was shopping somebody else on level 2
Yes, before I met him.
before you met him. Okay. And that's when you told him, don't be telling anybody else this, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, at some point in time, sir, did you write a letter to the Wayne County prosecutor telling him that you had information?
Yes.
People's Exhibit number 84. Move to admit.
No objection.
Is this the letter that you wrote, Mr. Ellington?
Yes.
Would you read it to us, sir?
Kim Worthy, I have some some very important information I would like to share with you. I share a 2-man room with Robert Bashara, the businessman from Grosse Pointe. I'm sure you would like to know what he's told me, and he wants me to do for him.
And did you also write a letter to your attorney?
Yes.
Move to admit, People's 85 by stipulation, I believe, Your Honor.
No objection.
Proceed.
Would you read that, sir?
I want you to know that I have some important information that I need you to know. I share a 2-man room with Robert Bashara, the Grosse Pointe businessman that they said had his wife killed. He has been telling me a lot of things, and he wants me to see if I could have 2 people killed. If you can, I would like to have a conference call with you as soon as possible.
Is there a PS?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I sent Kim Worthy a letter. I just told her I shared a room with Robert too. I didn't say anything about he wants me to have some people killed, but I did say he's been telling me things.
Based on these letters, sir, were you then interviewed by investigators from the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office?
Yes.
Okay. And you tell them the truth when you talk to them?
Yes.
And you told them what you told us today, is that right?
Yes.
Now, you indicated to us that you are currently serving a prison term for robbery, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're currently under sentence by a sentence agreement, right?
Yes.
And have you been promised anything?
No.
Isn't it true that we informed you through your attorney that if you qualify for a resentencing based on guideline scoring, that we would notify the court that you cooperated in a murder investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Any other promises or inducements been made to you, sir?
No. But I was told exactly.
Objection.
No.
What were you
As to
told?
what he was told.
What were you told?
When I was told when they came to see me, they can't promise me anything.
Okay. One second, Ron.
Just when they had to.
Hold on one second. Now, you were brought down here to testify from your current incarceration, correct?
Yes.
And a couple days ago, were you put in the bullpen area with the defendant?
Yes.
Did you see the defendant?
Yes.
Did he see you?
Yes, he saw me.
When he saw you, what did he say?
See, I guess the guy testifying on me.
Did he say anything else?
Rat.
I'm sorry?
Rat, and he's doing a good job.
He called you a rat.
And he's doing a good job.
Did he point you out to anyone else and call you a rat?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Who did he point you out to?
Whoever's watching.
So there you are in the bullpen with all the other prisoners, right?
Yes.
He sees you, you see him, right? Yes?
Yes.
He points to you and calls you a rat.
He pointed my way.
And calls you a rat.
Because the guy in the next cell to me hollered, said, "Bob, is he telling on you, Bob?" And Bob said, "Yeah, he's doing a good job."
That's all I have.
Cross-examine.
Mr. Ellington, these mornings, I've noticed that I have something in my throat. Let's hope it clears up. I understand that you've told us that you're a Moor.
Yes,
All
I
right.
used to be.
Used to be. At the time that you were talking to Mr. Bashara in the Oaks facility, were you?
Somewhat, but I wasn't rotating.
You were not rotating?
That means I wasn't active.
Okay. You're a Muslim.
Used to be.
Okay. These are some of the reasons that you told us that he chose to speak with you about these special things.
Well,
Is that not what you told us?
yes, because I guess someone told him that we can get a lot of things did in this. In
Can
the
I just get
system.
some water, Judge?
Not mine,
Scooper, don't use the fountain, use the in the back. Yeah, use the one in the back, in the hallway.
Turn around.
Mr. Ellington.
Yes, sir.
You're not telling us that a Moor and a Muslim are the same thing, are you?
Moor and Muslims, they both practice Islamic just about, but Moors is Moor Science Temple of America, and then you got Sunni
I'm sorry,
Muslims.
Moor what?
Moors is the Moor Science Temple of America. You know,
I
it
see.
deals in the science of the religion. And then you get the Sunni Muslims that do salats and stuff like that, which doesn't.
When did you start? When were you active? When did you start being active as a Moor?
Probably back in 2006, 2007.
2006.
It'd be on my religious records at the facility.
I don't have those. So you were in prison at the time that you became a Moor?
Yes.
All right. Was that for protection purposes?
No, man.
Man,
No.
all we get is what we see on TV,
No, sir.
okay? So, do you need protection when you're in prison?
No,
Okay. But you can get things done when you're a Moor.
basically.
And can you get things done when you're a Muslim?
Basically.
Okay. And you indicated, well, you're 55, I think you said?
Yes.
67 back, okay. So,
Know my way around.
yeah, well, there is a way to live, and there is a way to live to get yourself in trouble in prison, is that right?
If you say so.
I'm asking you, you know your way around, right?
I've been there. Know my way
You've
around.
been there.
You know, I know what to do, what not to do.
And that's something that you told Mr. Bashara that you would help him understand. These are unwritten rules, but you kind of told him you'd help him understand how to live in prison.
I don't know if I told him I would help him, show him how to live in prison.
All right, but you did start trying to help him understand, whether you said it or not.
Well, I might have.
Okay. You told us that when you were at the Oaks facility, you were in level 4.
Yes.
Is there a higher level?
Yes.
And that's 5, but that's at a special facility, is that right?
Yes.
So, for other than being in that special facility, you were as high as you could be in terms of levels
At that facility.
at Oaks.
Yes.
Well, some facilities are significantly calmer and don't even have a level 4, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's obviously a better place to live than level 4.
Yes.
Okay, and you said you were with Mr. Bashara for how long in the cell with him alone
Maybe
level 4?
6, 7 weeks.
6 or 7 weeks. Is it fair to say, and you choose whatever you feel, that Mr. Bashara just talks a lot?
No.
He doesn't just talk all the time?
No.
Okay. Did you see him talking to other people in the, well, I thought, are there 2 people per cell in the level 4 facility?
Yes.
So you're with him, correct me if I'm wrong.
Basically
about
20
22
some hours a day. Yes.
And then we see that you're with him even in the 2 hours that you get for recreation.
Okay.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have relationships with anybody else but Mr. Bashara?
Yes.
Okay. Could you communicate with those people while you were in your cells?
Yes, if you scream through your door down the hall.
Oh, that way? Okay.
The only way.
But you really can't even see anybody, is that correct?
Well, if you can look out your window and see the guy across in the next cell across, the next 2 cells
But
across.
it's as close to being as isolated as you can be without being alone.
Yes.
All right. Do you know why, if you know, do you know why Mr. Bashara was put in the cell with you?
No, I guess it was an open cell.
If you don't know, say I don't know.
Well, the only thing I can tell you, sir.
Well, no, you don't know, right?
Yeah, I believe I do know why he was put in there, because it was an open room.
All right.
It's 2 to a room. I was in the monkey I had before him. It went to the hole.
So that's completely isolated.
Yes.
And so then Mr. Bashara took his spot in your cell.
Because he had just came back from being arraigned for, I guess, this case.
This particular case
Yes.
here. Okay. I appreciate you sharing with us that you spent most of your adult life in prison. I'm looking at things that I want to talk to you about. Where is my, oh, here it is. So back on September 8th of 2012, you committed an armed robbery and were convicted on 3/4 of 2013?
Yes.
Okay. Back on August 31st of 2012, you committed an armed robbery and were sentenced on 3/4 of 2013?
Yes.
So you got 2 armed robberies?
Yes.
Also, within the last 10 years, you have...
Yes.
Okay. And you have actually you have 2 bank robberies.
Wait, I just object to the form of the question, Your Honor. I think that the proper question is, he was convicted of, within the last 10 years, a crime involving theft or dishonesty. Not I have, but just the form.
You know, you don't have to say it exactly like that. You made it real clear that it was within the last 10 years. I don't know how you can say bank robbery is not theft and dishonesty.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the court rule requires that he be convicted of those offenses.
The only thing,
That's my understanding,
that's what I thought I was getting from him. So you were convicted, sir, out of St. Clair County on March 4th of 2013 of bank robbery.
Yes. No, sir.
Oh,
2013, you said?
yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
No.
Well, it doesn't say that, though. In 2012, the offense was committed on 8/31/2012.
Yes, bank robberies was 2004.
2004 your bank robberies were? The 2 bank robberies I'm talking about?
Yes.
How many bank robberies do you have?
You just now said I had 2.
Well, I'm asking you to be sure I know, because I'm not really comfortable trusting this.
He was right. It's true, sir.
All right. So in total for those, you spent how many years in prison?
I got 5.5 to 25 for that one, sir.
Did you serve the full 5.5?
Yes, sir.
More?
No, sir.
And then how about the next bank robbery? Same thing?
Wait, I object to the following question. There was no bank robbery. Witnesses testified he had 2 bank robberies.
I'm talking about this one, these two.
This one.
Not that one, these two. The other bank robbery? Do you know how long you spent?
I did 5.5 to 25 for both of them, sir.
Okay. Now, that's not the only thing you went to prison for, is it?
No, sir. I'm not saying that I'm a modest citizen, sir. I did my.
You're not.
I did my share.
I object. That's not a question, and it's argumentative. Has to be true.
I think you told us, and I think you were serious, actually, when you told us that you were going forward with this because you wanted it to end.
Well, I don't want to see anyone killed, sir.
Okay. But, you can get things done. Did you make that statement?
Yes.
And when pressed harder, did you indicate that your nephews can kill people outside of prison?
When pressed harder.
When asked further?
Oh, yes, when he asked me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And is that true?
No.
You're just making that up? Were you making it up?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell the prosecutor that?
That I was making it up?
No, that you could have your nephews kill people outside of prison.
Told nobody that my nephew is killing people outside of prison.
Pardon me, I didn't hear you.
No, I didn't tell anyone that my nephew is killing people outside of prison.
Okay, well, I just asked you. I got it from somewhere,
Oh.
right? I just asked you, so it came from you, right?
Me and Mr. Bashara was speaking of it, and I told him I can have my nephews do it.
Never told the prosecutor that.
No, I'm not going to tell the prosecutor that my nephew is killing people out there. No, sir. Why should you ask me something like that? Oh, I know. That's why I went there.
Now, you've got to help me with this because you don't want to see anybody killed, but you made it clear to the authorities that came to speak to you that, if you remember this, just tell me. You spoke to Inspector Schreibner and told him you weren't giving any information up unless you got a time cut. Is that not what you said?
Yes.
Okay. And you told Detective Matuk that you want a time cut for your information.
But he said it can't do that.
Yeah, but that's what you said you needed.
Yes.
So this, you didn't say, I really don't want to see people killed. I just want to get out early.
That I did say, but
Okay.
I still don't want to see anyone killed.
Me either, but I don't want to be in prison either.
You know?
So your motivation, the specified motivation that you gave to the authorities was you wanted a time cut.
I asked if it's possible.
Well, how are you asking if it's possible when you say I ain't giving up nothing until I get a time cut?
Well, I thought about it. I'm doing the right thing, mister. You know, I don't actually,
I know you are.
I'm not, I don't want to see anyone murdered.
Is it not true that you've already received some benefit for coming forward and writing these letters?
No.
Well, where are you housed now?
Objection, Your Honor, that's irrelevant.
It's relevant. It's a benefit he got.
I disagree, okay.
Where are you?
I'm housed at a level 2 now.
Wait,
As it relates, can we approach?
yes.
I don't have to approach on this.
No, wait,
We do.
No.
We do.
Approach. Is it the same condition?
Yes.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's okay. I appreciate that. I got you. Okay. Please, sir, do not tell us where you are now housed. All right? However, is it fair to say that you are now housed in a spot that's a level 2?
Yes.
Dormitory style living. Nothing like where you were on level 4.
It's
Am I
a
right?
difference, yes.
I'm right, right?
Yes. But I never knew that I was
You know
going
what?
to a different
I
level.
didn't ask you what you knew. I'm asking you what you've been telling people. Did you ever find out through Mr. Bashara who the person was on the other side of the Oaks facility that he had been talking to about this?
He mentioned the name, but I can't remember.
don't remember it?
Nor do I know the guy.
Was it a prisoner or a
It was a,
staff
it was
member?
a prisoner, but the guy that came to our cell that day, and he said such and such said $1,000, he can make it happen. He was a prisoner that works with the maintenance department that relayed the
Oh, I see.
message.
I see.
And Bob knew him because every day he come over there for maintenance. He comes to our door and he talks with
Talks
Bob.
to him. Did you see Bob talking to anyone else in the yard besides yourself?
He spoke with another guy across the hall from us.
So that's a yes.
Named Prince, and I told Bob one day when I went back in the unit,
I hadn't asked you about that.
okay,
You in fact did see him talking to other people.
not many at all.
Not many at all.
Not many wanted to be bothered with him.
You took care of him, though. You
Pardon
wanted to be bothered with him.
He
That's
was
clear.
he was my roommate. I didn't have a choice.
You don't have to talk to him, did you?
Well, you know, I didn't hate the man or anything like that.
And he was a ticket for you to get a time cut. So
Time
why
cut?
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you play him?
I didn't get in. I haven't received no time cut.
You're gonna certainly be asking for one now, aren't you?
If I can get one, sir, well be. But
Without Mr. Bashara, there was no hope of getting a time cut. Now there is some hope. You got to kind of live day by day in prison, don't you? You got a little more hope about when you're going to get out.
I got hope, yeah, to get out eventually. But I'm not lying about anything that Bob told me and asked me to do.
Well, you're under oath,
Yes.
and you're not supposed to lie.
Well, I'm telling
But
the
you
truth.
do lie, don't you?
Pardon me?
You do lie.
Do I lie?
Yeah, you're not going to pretend that you don't lie. You brought
I'm
it
not
up.
lying in this instance.
You brought it up.
I'm not lying right now.
But you're a person that lies, but today we're supposed to believe you're not lying.
Everything, well,
That's bottom line, isn't it?
probably everybody in here done told a lie.
I know there's no question about it, and you have too.
But I haven't
today
lied
we're
about
supposed to
anything
trust you.
that gets them to...
Stop. This is very argumentative.
I know. Well, oh, you mean don't even roll with this?
I haven't lied about
Okay, well,
anything
stop.
today.
Stop.
Question before you
Okay.
right now. Next question.
That's all, Judge. Thanks.
Can you read the record?
Steve Washington, John. Mr. Ellington, you recall Mr. Cooper asking you about this time cut, right?
Yes.
Now, initially you came forward and said, I want to get a benefit for myself, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then were you told that there is no time cut for you?
Right, because I've been sentenced already with sentences. They got in Michigan. They got the automatic truth of sentencing, and once you've been sentenced on that, you cannot have a reduced sentence.
So when
Didn't you, I'm sorry, I object.
So-
Because this simply isn't true. You can have a resentencing, which is what he was asking for, which is what he mentioned when he said they would review the guidelines.
So is that a legal objection?
Yes, it's a legal objection. It just happens to also be a speaking objection.
I don't like speaking.
I know, but there was no way to get that all in with a little numbered
Just make
objection.
a legal objection.
Well, my legal objection is that he's lying.
That's not a legal objection.
Okay.
That's an opinion.
Thank you. After you were told, sir, that you could not get a time cut, did you say, okay, I'm not going to talk about this anymore?
I can't remember.
Okay, well,
I can't be for sure.
It's true, in fact, after you were told by the detectives in this case that there is no time cut for you, that you gave a statement to them about what you testified to, right?
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
And it's true that you testified under oath as an investigative subpoena, right?
Yes.
It is his witness.
It is.
All right.
It's his witness, but it's also a redirect. Some leading is allowed. What we will see.
So in spite of the fact that you weren't getting a benefit for yourself, you said you would tell the truth.
Wait, Judge,
That's fine.
can't
Is that right?
mischaracterization. He's already got one benefit, and that's being moved.
Mischaracterization is your
That's the
It's the
non-speaking objection.
It's the same.
I'll rephrase it. In spite of the fact that you weren't getting a time cut for your sentence, you indicated that you would still go forward and tell the truth. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly
You did
what
tell
I
us.
said.
It's the same objection, Judge. You just said sustained, and then he asked the same question again.
Is that the same question?
No, I don't think so.
Well, it was the identical question then.
When he objected about benefit, I said prison, I said time cut, to reflect his objection.
Okay.
Oh, proceed, please.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'll move on quickly. Now, you told us today that you got transferred to a different facility after you testified under oath about what Mr. Bashara wanted done to those 3 witnesses, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what would happen to you, sir, if you were a level 4 facility and the word got out from someone that you were a rat?
Probably get stabbed.
Okay, so like just a couple of days ago when he pointed a finger at you and called you a rat, if word got out up in Oaks that you were a rat, you could suffer some harm, right?
Yes.
Judge,
Now, let's talk about...
That's speculation.
No, it isn't speculation. All right? He was the one asking about prison rules, life in prison, benefits for transfer. Okay.
Let's not be speaking objections. Let's just keep it legal, folks, so we can get through this, okay?
He was talking to you, Mr. Cooper was talking to you about the rules in prison. You remember that?
Yes.
And he said you've been in prison a long time. You know the rules, right?
Yes.
And part of the rules that you were trying to help out Mr. Bashara with the rules, weren't you?
Yes.
And trying to help him acclimate, get along in prison, right?
Yes.
Okay. And was that part of your responsibility, for lack of a better term, as his bunkmate?
It plays a big part.
Okay.
You know, if that's your bunkie, you know, because a lot of guys look at it and say, well, man, that's your bunkie. You need to tighten them up, you know, and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. And did you try to do that?
Yes.
Okay. And he taught you card games. You try to tighten them up, right?
Yes.
Did he ever call you any words? Any names?
Yeah, one I really didn't like,
What was that?
Buckwheat.
How did you do that?
Because he got mad when we was playing some cards and I beat him.
He calls that name after you got mad playing cards.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
All right,
You have
thank
an appeal going.
Yes.
That's all.
right up there. Watch your step. Right there. Sir, please give your name and spelling to the court reporter, please.
Richard J. Falsonelli.
Yep. Put a mic in front of you. You may be on your.
Sir, could you state,
Sir, please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
sir, could you state your name, please?
Richard John Falsonelli.
And do you know Mr. Bashara?
Yes, I do.
You see him seated anywhere in this courtroom?
Right in front of me. Yes, ma'am.
Could you point him out, indicating for the record the witness identified the personal defendant, Mr. Bashara? And how long have you known him?
About 12 years.
And he's a personal friend of yours?
Yes, he is.
And did you know him through business?
Yes.
And did you also know him on a personal level?
Yes, I did.
And did you know him through the BDSM community?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what name did you know him through that community as?
Both by Bob Bashara, Robert Bashara, as well as Master Bob.
And do you have a specific name that you go by in that community?
Known as either Midnight Rider or Sir Rick. Midnight Rider.
Midnight Rider or
Yeah.
what?
Sir Rick.
Sir Rick, okay. And over the last year since Mr. Bashara has been incarcerated, have you been acting as his power of attorney?
Since March 8th of this year, yes, ma'am.
And you were working with him on the selling of his Middlesex home?
Yes, I did.
And at a certain point in time, during the process of the selling of the Middlesex home, you were served with the order freezing Mr. Bashara's assets?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at some point this year, did Mr. Bashara begin to ask you to put money on somebody's account in prison?
One time.
Okay. And was that person Larry Ellington?
Yes. I don't know about the last name. All I know him is by Larry.
Mr. Bashara asked you to put money on Mr. Ellington's account, is that correct?
Once, yes.
And did you comply?
Eventually, yes.
Okay. And when you say eventually, what you were hesitant about doing it at first?
No, I was contacted 2 prior occasions to my doing it by some relative of Larry's first, and then by Larry directly. And I didn't follow either one of their instructions and everything else until I spoke to Bob specifically, and he specifically told me to go ahead and do that, and I executed his wishes for my fiduciary responsibility.
Now, when you are, well, you don't have to do any and everything he says,
And I don't.
Okay, so you made a decision based on talking to Mr. Bashara.
Yes.
To put the money on Larry Ellington's account, correct?
At that point, yes.
Okay. Now, let me just ask you, when you speak to Bob on the telephone, do you tell him, excuse me, strike back. Let me rephrase. Are there issues with you speaking to Mr. Bashara on the telephone freely?
Yes, because I know we're being recorded, so
Okay,
there's
you know
things
you're
that
being recorded.
should be confidential that I attempt to try to
Okay.
maintain our confidentiality with him on.
And do you tell Mr. Bashara repeatedly not to talk on the phone?
Oh, yes.
And do you tell him repeatedly not to other inmates or talk to people?
I tell him to shut the bleep up all the time.
We're all adults here. Give me what you tell Mr. Bashara repeatedly.
Shut the fuck up, Bob.
Okay. And he
Excuse my language.
And he repeatedly goes against your wishes and tells people things you tell them you should not. Is that correct?
He's frustrated my efforts by doing so, yes.
Okay. Now, initially when you're talking on the phone and you ask him about the phone calls you receive from somebody talking about putting money on Larry's account, does he initially pretend like he doesn't want you to put money on Larry's account?
No, but he's also not, not following my advice where I don't believe that's a good idea to be doing so. And, it's against my better judgment in doing things, in his best interest.
I've talked to the defense counsel about the introduction of exhibit number 97, which is the phone conversation between Mr. Bashara and...
Wait, before we can. Well, if you want to ask me questions, I'm not going to stipulate
Well, then,
I don't think it's admissible. Your Honor, I can't stipulate the information of it. She wants to ask him about a phone conversation that he had with Bob. If he has no recollection of the phone conversation and she wishes to use that to impeach him, that's fine. But no matter how you look at it, it's still hearsay with respect to his portion of the conversation.
he doesn't have to stipulate. The conversation relates to admissions and actions done by Mr. Bashara. These are Mr. Bashara's voices on the telephone directing him to do certain things as it relates to that. So it's an admission of the defendant directly. He doesn't have to stipulate. Admissions are...
So in other words, I can take the statements made by Mr. Bashara and give them context by what questions were asked and responses or
Correct.
whatever the conversation
Correct.
was.
I still object, Judge. I think she can ask him questions about the conversation and then use it
See,
to...
then that would be hearsay. But, you have the phone conversation itself.
Well, I can't stipulate to its admission, Your Honor.
It's exhibit number 97.
97.
So long as you lay a foundation for it and move for its admission, I'll entertain admitting it over defense counsel.
Thank you. You spoke to Mr. Bashara on the phone many times,
Very many times, yes.
and there was a situation in May, June of this year when you received a phone call from somebody, some relatives, asking you to put money on Larry Ellington's account.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes.
You didn't know what that was about, is that correct?
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a subsequent phone conversation with Robert Bashara concerning someone contacting you from prison asking you to put money on Larry's account?
I can't remember exactly which time, which conversation we had
But you
where
did
that
have-
was brought up, but I did let him know I was contacted by a relative or whatever. I informed him, of what I received and everything else, and I believe I may have even told him of my objection to following such information from such a phone call, such a contact.
Okay.
Or whatever, advised him that I thought it was not a good idea to proceed.
But eventually he told you to do it.
Yeah,
And that was over the phone phone call that you knew was recorded.
right.
I believe the foundation has been laid, Your Honor, to play the phone conversation.
Same
To
objection.
make the identification. Voices on,
We can have him step down and put some do we have headphones on so you can listen?
can you play a portion of it?
Oh, okay. Yes, we can.
Put 50 on that account. Put 50 on that account. On that, okay?
Did you hear the voices? Or do you need to step down to listen to the voices?
I heard part of it or whatever, but did he mention, there's some part of it I didn't catch that he repeated a couple of times.
First of all, we want to get you to say, do you recognize the voices?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. Is that you and Mr. Bashara?
yes.
Okay.
All right. Court will receive People's Proposed Exhibit 97 as evidence may proceed over defense counsel's objection.
Put 50 on that account. On that, okay?
Okay.
All right? That would be helpful.
Okay, I was got a weird phone call.
I know. That's what I'm talking about, the one.
One from somebody's aunt, and, which, what the hell, I don't take phone calls like that from people I don't know, don't expect, or whatever. Somebody just tried calling like you did and everything else, instead of the call being from you, which from this other person just told me to pick it up and everything else, and, I don't play that.
I know, the first one you mentioned, I want you to take care of that.
Well, I don't have the person's number.
I know, you'll get it. You'll get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some guy named Larry?
Anyways,
Now, did he eventually give you the information to put money on Larry's account?
Yes, because I was able, at some point shortly after that, I was able to complete that transaction on his behalf for him, like following his instructions as,
Okay.
reluctantly, I felt was my fiduciary responsibility.
I understand.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, you indicated that you did put the money in the account. Did you actually talk to Larry a couple of times?
There was times when Larry called me directly on
My question
Bob's.
to you, could you listen to me?
Okay,
My
sorry.
question to you is, were there times where you talked to Larry directly?
The couple, yes.
Okay. And were you giving him information about what was going on with the house, or he was getting information to give to Bob Bashara?
Possibly.
At some point, did you learn about Mr. Ellington's cooperation in this case?
Recently.
Okay. And you learned that from who?
Defense attorneys.
Okay. And after you learned that Mr. Ellington was cooperating with the prosecution, did you have a phone conversation with Mr. Bashara about that?
Believe so.
And was that phone conversation a phone conversation where where you and he were talking about being angry at that two-faced son of a bitch?
Possibly, yes.
Possibly.
I could very well have used that terminology.
Okay. 98. And that phone conversation that you happened, that phone conversation when you were discussing with Mr. Bashara, that two-faced son of a bitch, was just recently, within the last week or two?
Yes, ma'am. Because I had no knowledge of that prior to that time, no.
And that was after you learned, and in that phone conversation, do you indicate to Mr. Bashara, I told you just to shut the fuck up?
Yes, definitely.
And Mr. Bashara, basically his reaction was, he didn't really deny that he had done these things, did he? In that phone
That wasn't the
conversation-
nature of our conversation, and he also
My
did not
question to
admit
you-
that he did anything of that
My
nature.
question to you, sir, is he didn't say, I never told him these things, did he?
Wait, Your Honor, maybe...
Nah, I'm not going to admit to that at all, not whatsoever.
Objection, sir. I don't even know what the prosecutor's referring to in terms of these things. There's been a number of topics. Could we be a little more specific so we know?
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. When I'm referring to these things, I'm talking about the things that you learned from defense counsel that Mr. Ellington indicated that Bob was trying to contract another hit.
I've heard allegations to that effect that I believe to be totally false, yes.
I understand you believe them to be totally false. Perhaps that's why you called him a two-faced son of a bitch.
Well, he was Bob's, cellmate or whatever, so yeah.
And you believe he shouldn't have relayed anything that Bob had told him.
You shouldn't twist things that Bob shared with him in the cell or whatever and turn them into a false story, no.
Okay, so Bob did indicate to you, or Bob has indicated to you, that he has been talking to Mr. Ellington, correct?
About some things, yes, but not the context of what he reported to you,
Okay.
that he alleged against Bob.
Okay, let's stop it right here, let's back up. So Bob Bashara did admit to you that, yes, he has been talking to Ellington, telling him certain information, correct?
Personal private information that had no relevance, that probably should never been shared. Right, correct.
So, and once again, Bob has gone against your advice and kept running his mouth, correct?
Well, at that point or whatever, this is after the fact. So, I mean, that information transpired over the last months,
Your Honor,
earlier this
I
year.
believe now,
You know,
can we have that conversation played, which with exhibit number what? 98.
Identify the voices.
Okay.
I definitely have some thoughts on some things, and I want to go over them with you, and I went over with
Can you recognize that voice?
yes, it's Bob's.
Okay.
those guys, so I think we're on a similar page. Yeah, so, but, yeah, tell him I'd like to see him if I could, if he can swing back by. He's not, he'll probably work tomorrow, but, on Tuesday would be great.
Do you recognize the other voice?
Myself, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay?
Okay, move to admit, Your Honor.
Court will receive People's Proposed Exhibit 97?
98.
98.
98 into evidence for the defense counsel's objection.
What else, man? You all right?
Yeah, he told me about
Appreciate all your...
your little friend there from north.
You what?
Hasn't done us any favors.
You what you said?
He told me about our, what your little friend from up north did. He's not doing us any favors, a little two-faced son of a bitch.
Yeah, I know.
Stop that. You find that amusing?
I find much of my, my terminology amusing at times. I can be kind of
This is
comical.
a murder case.
I know that.
And you find this playing of the phone conversation where somebody has said Mr. Bashara was attempting to contract a hit on 3 human beings, and you saying that little lying son of a bitch, you find that to be amusing somehow?
I find my conversation with Bob amusing. It has no context with what my opinions are or feelings for what Mr. Larry, is purported to, make allegations against Bob,
And you think it's appropriate because you're amused to
I
laugh in
object to the
court?
relevance, whether this witness thinks it's appropriate or not. It has no bearing on what was said.
Argumentative to say.
Now, continue.
So he's putting that thing for you.
What?
I told you about it, so you're aware of what the hell some bitch was up to. Yeah, telling you the same thing, shut the fuck up. Don't talk to anybody about anything.
I'm not. There's nothing to say.
Now, you know Mr. Bashar from the BDMS lifestyle, is that correct?
as well as other things. Yes, ma'am.
And you were on certain websites?
Yes.
And what were those websites?
I've got like 35 different websites on Yahoo or whatever, in addition to the most recent and most active website or whatever nowadays being FetLife.
FetLife stands for what?
FetishLifestyle.com.
You are also on alt.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did you know Rachel Gillette?
Through Bob, yes.
Okay. And what was her relationship with Mr. Bashara?
She was his partner's slave and submissive.
His partner, slave, and submissive. And did you know her by another name?
Through her C name, yes.
What was that?
I think it's Bob's Bella.
And did you know any other women who were involved with Bob, or had you met any other women who were involved?
Oh, yes, over the last 12 years, several.
And how many? And several? More than 4 or 5?
Yes, somewhere in that vicinity, 4 or 5, maybe even a few more than that.
Had you ever met Mrs. Jane Bashara?
Not personally, no, unfortunately.
Did he ever tell you anything about Mrs. Bashara and her interest in the lifestyle?
We had, confidentiality. We shared confidences and everything else, and he told me much about his relationships over the 12 years we've known each other.
Did he tell you anything specifically about his wife and the BDS and lifestyle?
Not that it was, that it was not of any interest to her whatsoever.
That she was not interested in that lifestyle?
Absolutely, right from the start.
Did Mr. Bashara ever tell you his feelings for Rachel?
Yes, he cared for her quite a bit.
Did he ever indicate that he loved her?
Yes, but he also indicated he loved his wife.
Sir, in that question that I just asked you, did I ask you specifically about his wife?
Not yet.
In that question that I just asked you, was I asking you about Rachel?
Yes.
Is there any reason why you cannot answer the question you were specifically asked?
No.
From this point forward, could we try?
You to tell him, not for her.
I'm not telling him, I'm asking him.
Was there an objection?
Let her go ahead and ask me.
Yeah,
Excuse me, sir.
Sorry.
don't forget it, I think it's understood.
Sir, if I ask you a direct question, can you try to answer directly?
Yes, I will answer directly, truthfully, and, to the full, intention of my, truthful answer.
Okay, thank you.
In my manner. And I will use my words, not words that'll be put in my mouth.
Sir, when I ask a specific question, Judge, could you admonish this witness to answer only the question that he is asked?
Answer the question that's asked of you and nothing more, nothing less.
All right, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So my specific question to you is, did Mr. Bashara tell you that he loved Rachel?
Yes.
Did he indicate that he was planning a future with Rachel?
No.
Did he indicate to you that he was buying a house on Kensington Street?
Yes.
And did he tell you when that closing date of that house was?
No.
Did you, even though you didn't know the specific date, did you realize, or did he tell you that it was going to be sometime in the winter months of in the early beginning of the year 2012?
I had no knowledge that they were that far along with his investigation of that property, no. All I know is that he looked at that house as far as I'm aware of, his looking at that house.
Did he actually tell you that he was buying that house for him and Jane?
Yes, at one point, yes.
Was that before or after her murder he told you
It was
that?
after the murder when we were having conversations.
Okay. Before the murder, did he ever mention he was buying that house with, or to move in with Jane?
No, that conversation hadn't appeared before then.
Before the murder, did Mr. Bashara, had he ever mentioned the name Joe Gentz?
No.
Now, you spoke to Mr. Bashara before Jane's funeral, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you actually go out to the house?
Yes.
Okay. And were you there in the days before the funeral, correct?
Yes.
During the days before the funeral, did Mr. Bashara ever mention the name that Joe Gentz was someone he possibly thought killed Jane?
Not during those days, no.
As a matter of fact, did he ever say he thought that Joe Gentz killed Jane?
Not before Joe presented himself to the Grosse Pointe Police Department.
Now, after it came out in the press about Joe Gentz, did Mr. Bashara start telling you some things about Joe Gentz?
Yes.
And what was it that he told you about Joe Gentz?
How he knew him, what, that he had, used Mr. Gentz as a maintenance man at his properties and things of that nature.
Did he ever tell you that Joe Gentz was leaving him messages on his answering machine?
Well, on his cell phone, yes.
Yes. Okay. And did he ever play those messages for you?
No.
Did he indicate that? Now, I asked you a specific question about is this the original? I'm going to direct you to, did you give a 6-page statement to Detective Matuk on April 12th, year 2012.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to ask you to look over it and tell me if I'm handing you your statement.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Would you like to look over it briefly?
Yeah, I've already read it and reviewed it recently this week.
Okay. Now, I just asked you a minute ago, did Mr. Bashara ever tell you that he thought that Joe Gentz was a suspect and that he thought, and whether Mr. Bashara thought Joe killed Jane? Remember that question I just asked you?
Right.
And you indicated, what was your answer?
Well, it depends on what time frame we're speaking of.
Okay.
In the time frame of the funeral, immediately, like the week or so,
Okay.
immediately after the death, before Mr. Gentz showed up, no, he did not make statements to that effect.
Okay.
Since then, yes.
Okay. Well, you gave this state in April of 2012, is that correct?
Yes.
And this was at least a good 3 months after the murder, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall the answer? And you were being truthful at that point in time when you gave your statement to the police to the best of your ability, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you read your statement over before you signed it, is that correct?
Correct.
And you read every page and signed every page, is that correct?
At that time that I gave it back on that date, yes, back
And
then.
you were satisfied that on April 21st, 2012, you were giving accurate answers to the questions that you were asked?
To the best of my ability at that time, yes, ma'am.
Do you recall on April 21st, 2012, being asked this question and given this answer? Did Bob ever tell you that he thought Joe was a suspect and that he thought Joe killed Jane? Answer, no.
Okay.
You gave those questions and answers at that point in time?
Yes.
And this is in April of 2012?
Yes.
And this is after certainly Joe has been arrested and charged for the killing, correct?
Okay, yes.
And up until that, and he had never told you, even after Joe had been arrested and charged, that he thought Joe was a suspect or that he thought Joe killed his wife, according to your statement on April 21st, 2012, correct?
At that point, correct.
Now, at some point later, he told you, he didn't change and said, I think Joe killed her, correct?
At some point, yes.
And when would this have occurred?
I couldn't tell you specifically, but it would have been
Would it have
somewhere in the time frame and everything else and before all the trials and all that,
Would it have been-
activity started,
would it
whatever
have
dates
been-
those were.
Okay. You have to let me finish my
Okay.
question. Would it have been after Mr. Bashara was charged with solicitation to commit murder on Joseph Gentz?
No.
Would it have been before?
Yes.
So it would have been someplace between April 21st and June 25th when he was arrested
Yes,
for
ma'am.
attempting to put a hit on
Yes,
Joe
ma'am.
Gentz. Now, did Mr. Bashara ever tell you a story about Joe and the Cadillac?
Yes.
First of all, when did this story first come up?
Sometime in that entire general time frame after the murder and before all of the June time frame when all of the court activity and charges and things like that were coming down, somewhere between that time frame, but I couldn't pinpoint exactly when.
Okay. Do you recall whether you mentioned Joe? Okay. First of all, what was it that Mr. Bashara told you about Joe and the Cadillac?
That he had this Cadillac out by one of his apartments and everything that was in the parking lot that Joe had seen, questioned him about and everything else, was wondering what the status of that vehicle was. And at some point, during their conversations, it was something that Joe desired to get in compensation for some of the work he was doing for Bob at his, rental properties.
Did you
in payment, for his services.
Did you tell that to the police in your April 21st statement?
I'm not certain if I did or not. I know that we mentioned some things about the Cadillac. That specific, I'm not certain.
Could you look through your April 21st statement and show me in that statement where you referenced the Cadillac?
Yeah, there's a reference to it on page 6 here.
Page 6, and what was? Could you show me?
Yeah, it's the third question down from the top in my answer. Would you want me to read it?
Yes.
No. Did he tell you where he gave him the check at, or was going to sell him his car?
And the answer was
And
no.
no.
Okay. So, as of April 21st, 2012, Bob Bashara had never told you that Joe was working in order to get the Cadillac, correct?
No. I'm correct. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
At that point, yes.
Okay. So sometime after April 21st, 2012, and to the point where he was charged with the solicitation to commit murder on Joe, this is when he comes up with the story about Joe working to earn the Cadillac, correct?
I wouldn't put it in that terminology, but the answer to that question is yes.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Bashara, did he give you an account on where he was on the night that his wife was murdered?
Through conversations and in general, yes.
Okay. And what was it that he told you?
He had left the house earlier in the evening or whatever and been made several stops throughout the evening at various locations and everything else, one of which was at the bar that's contained on the first floor of his Mac rental property.
Okay. So if I have it correctly, he told you that he made several stops on the evening hours when Jane was missing, correct? On the evening of January 24th.
He made several stops while he was gone from the house, from the time he left the house until he arrived and discovered her
Gone.
missing at that point.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to get.
Yes.
Let's walk
Yes.
through this again.
Yeah.
He did not give one location, one fixed location that he was at the entire time, but he was at multiple locations. Is that correct?
Multiple locations, and the only fixed location was the bar. Correct.
Okay. But he came and went from the Mack Avenue property. Is that correct?
At some point, yes.
Okay,
In order to be
thank
there at the bar, yes.
Okay. And what did he tell you about when he began to become worried about Mrs. Bashara's whereabouts?
Somewhere during the latter part of that portion of the evening, when he attempted to call her several times and didn't get an answer.
Well, and isn't it true that he said that he began to worry when he was traveling between various stops?
At that point, I wouldn't know if I'd use the terminology worry. He just tried contacting her and was not successful at being able to reach her.
Okay. So if I understand your testimony correctly, he was trying to reach her while he was traveling back and forth between various stops.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did Mr. Bashara also give you an account on how he gave the check to Joe?
There's many specifics about it. The only thing I know of is roughly the amount of the check, and that he had given it to him sometime Monday, the day before the murder.
So
Monday evening, I would even characterize it.
Okay. So if I understand your testimony correctly, did Mr. Bashara tell you he met Mr. Gentz face-to-face on Monday, January 23rd, and handed him the check for, in the area of $450?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did Mr. Bashara ever say that Joe Gentz threatened him in any way?
No, not specifically with that terminology.
Okay. Did Mr. Bashara ever say that Joe Gentz had made threats against Mr. Bashara's family?
Not that I can recall, no.
Did he ever say Joe Gentz made threats against Jane Bashara?
No.
Now, what did Mr. Bashara give you details about this supposed conversation on the January 23rd?
Not sure about details, but in general, they were, the check was for payment of, some of his services, and Mr. Gens wasn't satisfied with the amount that he'd received at that point. It was
And what did Mr. Bashara say the amount was supposed to be?
somewhere in the vicinity of $1,500 to $2,000, and he wasn't happy with the $450, $5,152, whatever that was. Yes.
And once again, Mr. Bashara never said he feared from his physical safety after this conversation with Mr. Gens, did he?
No.
And you've had many conversations with Mr. Bashara after the solicitation to commit homicide, is that correct, case?
Yes.
And you had conversations with him before that, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Bashara never told you, or Mr. Bashara never told you, that he wanted to have Gens killed to avenge his wife's murder, did he?
No, we never had conversations of that nature, no.
So the answer to that question is, Mr. Bashara never said, I tried to have Joe Gens killed because I was trying to avenge Jane's murder, correct?
At one point after the allegations came out, to that effect or whatever, he did say that.
Okay.
But I can't recall at what point last year that transpired.
And you say he told you that sometime in 2012?
Last year, yes. I think so, yes.
Now, sir, you testified under oath at an investigative subpoena hearing, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And as it relates to the investigative subpoena hearing, was a bench warrant issued for your arrest actually to make you come in to give your testimony?
Well, I was initially served a subpoena.
Sir, the question is, and let me slow it down so you can understand it. Was a bench warrant issued for your arrest in order to make you comply with the subpoena you received to come in and give testimony under oath?
Unnecessarily, yes.
Thank you. I'm handing you a transcript of your investigative subpoena testimony. And when you came in to testify at the investigative subpoena process, did you in fact swear to tell the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you in fact tell the truth?
To the best of my ability and recollection, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have just said that sometime in the year 2012, Mr. Bashara, after the allegations came up and the solicitation to commit murder on Joseph Gens, at some point, Mr. Bashara said he did it to avenge his wife's death. You recall that testimony you gave just a moment ago?
Yes.
You did testify in the prosecutor's office on April 8th, year 2013. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were telling us the truth then?
To the best of my ability and recollection, yes.
Okay. I'm going to direct you to page 41, please. And when you get to 41, I want you to go to line 15 through 21.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to read that over to yourself?
Yes.
And were you telling the truth when you testified under oath?
Yes.
And that answer certainly is different from what you said here today, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. So let's talk about what you said under oath previously.
Okay.
Okay? The question was asked to you. Question: did he, during the period of time that he was out after his wife was murdered, did he ever indicate to you that he wanted to kill Joe Gens? Answer: no. Question, he never said, oh, he just ruined my life, I wish I could kill him? Answer, no. He never indicated since he was arrested to you that he killed Joe Gintz because he was trying to avenge his wife's murder? Answer, no.
Correct.
Okay, that was the truth, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, as a matter of fact, you had phone conversation with Mr. Bashara about the solicitation to commit murder case against Joseph Gintz, correct?
That's sometime in the past year, yes.
Okay. And during that conversation, you were talking about Steve from Steve's Furniture, is that correct?
At a point, yes.
And do you recall telling Mr. Bashar that he shouldn't have called Steve, he should have called you?
Yes, I did.
Now, within the short period of time after Jane Bashara was murdered, did Mr. Gintz, excuse me, strike back, did Mr. Bashara, strike back, the week of the funeral of Miss Jane Bashara, did Mr. Bashara ask you to contact Rachel and tell Rachel that he still cared for her?
He told me to contact her or whatever, and sure she was all right, and yes, give him, that type of information, yes.
Before the funeral, did Mr. Bashara ask you to contact Rachel and tell Rachel that Mr. Bashara still cared for Rachel?
He did tell me to contact her. I'm trying to clarify when in my mind, during my recollection, he just told me to contact her and ensure she was okay, or to pass on information of that nature. There were several times we had a conversation of that, nature.
It was either one or the other, correct?
Yes.
So he's in the process of burying his murdered wife, but he wants you to have contact with Rachel to find out if she's okay, or to assure Rachel that he still cares for her, correct?
Both has transpired at one time or another. I can't be sure as to which time I was to convey, one message or the other.
Recently, in 2013, while Mr. Bashara was locked up, did he ask you to set up a profile for him on Fetish Life?
There was a time during that entire process when he did ask me to do that. Trying to recall the time frame of that, and I'm not sure of when the time frame was.
But it was after
yes.
It was after he was locked up. He wanted you to set up a profile for him on FetLife. Is that correct?
That might have been one of the times, yes.
One of the times. And one of the things he wanted you to do on FetLife was to try to see if you could find Rachel for him, correct?
Not certain of that, no. Because I already knew where Rachel was to begin with.
Ah, you already knew where Rachel was.
Yeah.
Do you recall testifying in the investigative subpoena hearing?
Yeah.
And we asked you, did you know about somebody named Cat Purr? Somebody who went by the screen name of Cat Purr?
Yeah, I remember our conversation about that, yes.
And you claimed not to know who Cat Purr was?
I didn't recall it at the time, correct.
Okay, you didn't recall at the time. You was in our office under oath giving testimony. But now you recall that Cat Purr was really Rachel?
After reviewing my testimony, yeah. No, Cat Purr is not Rachel.
Okay.
Don't confuse the issue. Cat Purr is Teresa. And I clarified that in our conversation on the 21st.
That's what you said in your testimony, correct?
It's because it's the truth.
Okay. But you also said that Cat Purr was in a state, you said Cat Purr was in Pennsylvania, correct?
No. At the time that I was trying to contact her or was having conversations about Teresa, she was in the Chicago area, to my knowledge.
My question to you, sir, is did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Bashara on the phone where you and he talked about Cat Purr being in Pennsylvania?
No,
yes,
not in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So you're saying that conversation never took place? So
no, because I only recently found out she was in Pennsylvania.
Who?
And not from Bob.
Who was in Pennsylvania?
Teresa. Hatboro, whoever.
Oh, okay, you're saying Teresa's in Pennsylvania.
As far as I know, that's my understanding, yes.
Now, you contacted Miss Rachel several times on Mr. Bashara's behalf after the murder, is that correct?
Yes.
Even after she indicated to you that she didn't want contact with Mr. Bashara, correct?
Not after our last conversation, no.
And when would that have been?
Probably in the May or June timeframe of last year.
And you were certainly aware at some point that Mr. Bashara had a PPO against him by Rachel?
At one point, I became aware of that, yes.
And you're claiming you never contacted Rachel on behalf of Mr. Bashara after you knew there was a PPO was in effect?
I don't believe so, no.
I'm handing you Exhibit 123. And ask you, do you recognize the handwriting on that note?
Not really.
You've seen Mr. Bashara's handwriting on numerous occasions, is that correct?
Yeah.
Are you saying definitively that is not his handwriting? Is that what you're trying to say?
Not from the, not from the handwriting I've been trying to read, that I've received from Bob before, or whatever. That doesn't, this is much too neat.
So what you're saying is that's not, you're definitively saying that's not his handwriting, correct?
I do not recognize that as being his handwriting.
Sir, I have an
Yes.
objection.
Yes.
He said, I'm not sure, and then she says, well, you're definitively saying, that's a mischaracterization of what the witness said.
I don't believe he said I'm not sure. Are you saying I'm not sure that's not his handwriting?
I am not sure whether that's his handwriting or not, because it doesn't resemble anything I've seen of his handwriting.
Okay, so you're not sure his handwriting, but do you recognize somebody's phone number on there?
I recognize my phone number on there.
Thank you. And on the weekend of January 21st, 2012, did you go to a BDSM function?
What was the date again?
January 21st, 2012?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The weekend before the murder?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you see somebody there?
I saw everybody that was there.
Did you
You
see
specific?
Did you see Mr. Bashara there?
Absolutely.
Was he there with Rachel?
Yes, he was.
And at these BDSM functions, did people participate in breath play?
Around this area, breath play is very limited. Not a lot of people engage in that, and they don't usually engage in it at most of our parties.
My question to you is, have you ever been to a BDSM party where people were engaged in breath play?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And could you explain what breath play was?
It's controlling, another's breathing or whatever, to the point of trying to elicit, an emotional response.
Okay. To the point of sometimes making people pass out?
Not usually, no.
I said sometimes.
I've never witnessed anybody do that to that extent, no.
Okay. And you have participated in breath play?
Absolutely.
And you've seen breath play engaged in at some BDSM events, correct?
Throughout the country, yes, I have.
And did Mr. Bashara indicate to you that he provided the police with a list of suspects?
Yes, he did.
And how many names did he say were on the list?
He didn't say specifically, but it was all on one page, and the nearest I could estimate based on how he shared it with me, whatever, it was somewhere in between the vicinity of maybe 15 to 18 names, if, something of that nature.
He said he provided the police with a list of 15 to 18 names,
Well,
correct?
he didn't say specifically that number, but approximately that was the gist of our conversation. That's, what it, appeared he was indicating to me.
And the only name that you recall was Joseph Gentz on the list?
One of the names on the list was Joseph Gentz.
But I'm asking you, is that the only name you recall him mentioning?
He didn't mention it at the time he mentioned the list, but at some point or whatever, I became aware that Joe Gentz was one of the names on that list.
Okay. And can I just ask you, we'll back up, when did he tell you about the list and Joe Gentz's name being on the list?
He told me the conversations that included knowledge of the list and everything else transpired between Thursday of the week of the funeral, whatever, through the weekend of the funeral.
Okay.
The information of Joe Gentz's name being on that list, I believe, came through sometime after that.
Okay. But certainly it would have been after you gave your statement on 4/21/12 when you never mentioned that Joe Gentz was listed as a suspect, correct?
Even then, I mentioned that whatever, I never,
No, I'm talking about the specific statement you gave.
Yeah, and even then, you tried using that same terminology and everything else, and I said I wouldn't use that terminology, but I did indicate yes to your answer, I believe.
You want to look at this again?
Yeah. Because I remember that part of our conversation.
Could you show me in there where it says Joe Gentz's name was on the list of 15 to 18 people?
Okay. Chase.
Oh.
He's nothing after he checks the statement. I have no other questions for him. I take that back, Judge. I do have two after he looks at that.
Did we talk about that in this conversation to the detective, or was it in our conversation of September?
I was asking you about your statement on April 21st. This is what we're focusing on, April 21st.
Our conversation.
I'm asking you specifically what you said in your statement, April 21st, 2012.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not finding where Mr. Matuk and I discussed the list on that date. I know we talked about it on our conversation, but I don't recall it on this conversation. Yes, ma'am.
I'm specifically asking about that statement. In that statement, nowhere do you talk about the list of 15 to 18 names, correct?
I don't, yeah, it doesn't look like Matuk and I discussed it at that point.
Okay. And as Mr. Bashara's power of attorney, you are aware of the properties he owns, correct?
Yes?
And does he own this residence on Guilford?
Yes.
Nothing further than this witness, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we have no questions, so witnesses can be released.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next up.
I think at this brings us to the point we have stipulations on and only one live witness, and then we'll be prepared to do whatever we have to do.
Why don't we break now, do the stipulations and the witness when we come back?
You want to break and do stipulations and the witness when we come back?
I'm sorry. We're going to break now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do the stipulations and the witness when we come back.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll shorten lunch. We'll still reconvene at 1:30.
Thank you, Your Honor. Need a copy of this note too, or no?
Yeah.